Systemic events are less likely to occur. Systemic events are likely to negatively affect real economic variables such as gross domestic product growth and unemployment, and may reduce public trust and confidence in the financial system. Financial stability refers to a financial system that inspires confidence through its resilience to systemic risks and its ability to efficiently intermediate funds. When we're going to talk about financial stability specifically in future episodes, we'll talk about the financial stability mandate. We'll talk about monitoring risks to financial stability, microprudential approach, which is basically all about designating systematically important financial institutions, implementing a systemic surveillance framework for all financial market infrastructures. We'll talk about international benchmarking and cooperation to enhance financial resilience, managing systemic events as well. Okay, the next one, financial surveillance. That's the next role of the SARB. What is this all about? Financial surveillance. The Financial Surveillance Department has progressively modernized its capital flows and investment framework over the past decades to benefit from global integration while safeguarding domestic interests. The Minister of Finance has delegated National Treasury's powers, functions, and duties assigned under the exchange control regulations, with certain exceptions to the governor and/or deputy governor of the SRB, the head of the Financial Surveillance Department, and other officials of the department. This means that the SRB is responsible for the daily administration of exchange controls in South Africa. These powers include appointing certain registered banks to act as authorized dealers in foreign exchange and appointing authorized dealers in foreign exchange with limited authority. Appointment gives these banks and ADLAs the right to buy and sell foreign exchange subject to conditions and within limits prescribed by the Financial Surveillance Department. Authorized dealers and ADLAs are not agents for the Financial Surveillance Department, but act on behalf of their customers. Remember, in the 2020 budget speech, the Minister of Finance announced that a new capital flow management framework will be introduced. Under this framework, all cross-border transactions will be allowed, except for those that are subject to the capital flow management measures and/or pose a high risk of illegitimate cross-border financial flows. Furthermore, red tape on legitimate flows will be reduced, while more robust measures will be introduced to detect, deter, and disrupt illegitimate cross-border financial flows. New capital flow management regulations will be drafted to effect this framework. In the interim, the existing exchange control system will remain. The next one is research. The role of the SRB when it comes to research. The SRB has a strong research capability, producing a wealth of knowledge. Its research supports economic policy formulation by providing accurate economic information and well-considered analysis and recommendations. The SRB also supports researchers from academia and the broader policy-making community for the work on topics of interest to the central bank. We're going to talk about the research agenda in future episodes. The research agenda, basically, this is all about the SRB's research is guided by a research agenda, which is approved by the Governance Executive Committee and updated annually. In addition to the priority areas outlined in the agenda, SRB economists tackle a range of other research topics to address questions raised by policymakers or issues that arise during the year. Next, about the role of the SRB is prudent regulation. What is this all about? It's about a stable and efficient financial system is instrumental in attaining and maintaining balanced and sustainable economic growth. The purpose of a prudential regulation and supervision is to ensure that financial institutions and market infrastructures operating within the financial system are inherently safe and sound. So under the heading or section of a section of prudential regulation, we have the Twin Peaks model, we have the regulatory strategy as well. With regards to the Twin Peaks model, in June 2011, Cabinet approved the move towards the Twin Peaks model. The Twin Peaks model for financial sector regulation was proposed as a means to reform the regulatory and supervisory system for financial institutions and market infrastructures. The Financial Sector Regulation Act was signed into law on marking an important milestone on the journey towards a safer and fairer financial system that is able to serve all citizens. The FSR Act gives effect to three important changes to the regulation of the financial sector. Firstly, it gives the SRB an explicit mandate to maintain and enhance financial stability. Secondly, it creates a prudential regulator, the Prudential Authority or PA, within the administration of the SRB. The Prudential Authority is responsible for regulating banks, commercial, mutual, and cooperative banks, insurers, cooperative financial institutions, financial conglomerates, and certain market infrastructures. Thirdly, the FSR Act established a market conductor regulator, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, which is a national public entity. The transition to the Twin Peaks model of regulation is being implemented in phases. The first phase was to establish the respective regulatory authorities, the PNFSCA. The second phase entails developing, harmonizing, and strengthening the legal frameworks for prudential and market conduct regulation and supervision. With regards to regulatory strategy, as required by the FSR Act, the Prudential Committee of the PA adopted a regulatory strategy to provide general guidance to the PA in performing its regulatory and supervisory functions and achieving its objectives. The regulatory strategy provides information to market participants and the public regarding the PA's approach to regulation and supervision, the principles that will guide its regulatory and supervisory decisions, its key priorities over a 3-year period, and the key outcomes it intends to achieve in order to realize its priorities. The PA has adopted a collaborative and consultative approach to regulation and engages with other regulators, industry bodies, and stakeholders within and outside the financial sector. So let us move to the next role of the SRB, which has to do with payments and settlements. The SRB has legal responsibility for the national payment system, which is the backbone of South Africa's financial system. The SRB operates, regulates, supervises, and oversees the national payment system and is responsible for policy making. The SRB acts as an intermediary or settlement agent that enables financial institutions to make payments to each other. It operates the South African multi-option settlement system and the real-time gross settlement system for the SADC region. That's something which you guys must consider. Let me repeat that again. It operates the South African multi-option settlement system or SAMOS and the real-time gross settlement system for the SADC region. In South Africa, consumers and businesses have a choice of more than 18 different payment systems, ranging from low value and transactions to high value bond exchange payments. These payments streams all form part of the NPS and are overseen by the SRB. The SRB ensures that all transactions that South Africans make are safe, efficient, and settled in the SAMO system. The SRB also implements measures to reduce systematic risk to the NPS, thus ensuring the stability of the country's financial sector. And then comes Vision 2025 under the heading Payments and Settlements. So what is Vision 2025? Vision 2025, okay, this is about in 2018, the SRB published the National Payment System Framework and Strategy Vision 2025, which sets out the goals and strategies for the national payments industry. This document set out the roadmap to building a world-class MPS that serves the economy and people of South Africa. Payment systems must be capable of meeting the evolving needs of South Africans. The SRB expects consumers to have increased trust in and familiarity with electronic payment systems by 2025. To attain this vision, industry stakeholders should collaborate to ensure the safety, efficiency, integrity, transparency, and accessibility of the NPS. And then We're going to talk about in future episodes what is the national payment system. We're going to talk about the legal and regulatory framework under the section of payments and settlements. We'll also talk about access to the national payment system, RAN participation in continuous linked settlements, payment industry bodies and committees, payment industry committees, payments council, and policy and regulatory forum. So, and then lastly, with regards to the role of the South African Reserve Bank, and after I cover this section, which is banknotes and coin, after this I'll just summarize on what to expect in the next